Namaste everyone. Very warm welcome to Satsang today. Sadhguru Sri Murji Baba ki Jai. These words are just arising. The hearing of it is also just arising. All perception is just coming and going on its own. The idea of effort is meaningless. Because as soon as your being is here, this world of perception it just arises. And your being is effortless. I'm asking everyone to check whether you're making an effort to be. What work are you doing to exist? And if your existence is effortless, and all the play of perceptions, once you exist, is effortless, then the concepts of either doing or non-doing don't actually arise. They are part of the movement of this play of perceptions. Because what happens very often is that we feel that, oh, the world is moving on its own, but we exclude this body from that. We feel like I am contained in this body, or this body is me, but the rest of the world is moving on its own. But even this body is moving on its own. There is nobody here who is deciding to speak these words. These words are just coming, and they are being heard naturally. Our entire life has actually only been like this. But sometimes when the sensation of some action starts to appear, then the mind interprets it quickly and says, you must do this or don't do this. And sometimes when the action has already happened, then the mind says, good, you did that. Or, no, you shouldn't have done that. Then we feel like there is an individual doer sitting here who's either doing or not doing, who's either doing the right thing or not doing the right thing. And around this fallacy, all of this guilt, pride, remorse, regret, resentment, all of this is based on this notion that somebody individually is doing or not doing. And this notion exists because the idea of a separate me exists, a separate I exists. What are you without this notion of separation? If you're not able to draw your boundary anywhere, is it so far-fetched an idea still? Or you're starting to get a taste of it now? Who does the I represent? What are you representing right now? What separates one sensation from another, except your notional boundary? All perceptions, where are they appearing? How big or small is that space? Are you also an appearance in that space? Can you disappear? Disappear. Just disappear. Can you get rid of yourself? If all perceptions also disappear, can you disappear? What is it that cannot disappear? Is that appearing? You see, this is the trick. All that appears can disappear. Are you an appearance? And if you cannot disappear, what is your seeing? What is your insight that confirms this? Did you see a thing? Did you see an appearance to confirm this? Stay with this because the mind will resist this. Because we are getting into non-phenomenal, can't even say realms, into the non-phenomenal truths. What is it that has never appeared or disappeared beyond your perception? What is aware of everything? What is your relationship with that? What is your distance from that? Let this play of appearances go on as it likes. It has been anyway. You see, Krishna has picked up the mountain with his little finger. This is an old story. Like Krishna picked up a mountain called Govardhan. With his little finger, he picked it up like that. You know. But the other villagers also he called and said, "Help me." Really? And then they came with their sticks to support Krishna. Now we got so attached to the idea that we are doing something that Krishna's play was forgotten. This being, this Krishna consciousness, this God, this I amness is holding up this world and every movement in it. Once you see that there is nothing for you to do, you will also see that there is no such you at all in the first place. So if you see it this way or that way, once you see that there is no individual doer, you see that the concept of doership or non-doership does not apply. You are that which witnesses all perception also. The light of this universe emerges from you. What could you possibly want? What true desire do you have? There is no such thing actually. How long do you want to play as if you are just the soup of sensations, as my master calls them? Go beyond these sensations, go beyond these perceptions, and then you will see that this beyond has always been. These perceptions have been coming and going. Your old master, which is the mind, will come and say, no, no, don't listen to this one. Just keep saying, but, this, that, my life, my things, my future, my past. Once I went to Tiruvannamalai when Guruji used to come there. So we used to go on the weekends. So once I went there, and Guruji said, this is our favorite song right now. And what did he say? The song for the mind. What is the song for the mind? Just, I don't know how many of you have heard it. Most of you must have. It's called Hit the Road Jack. We were all like enjoying this song so much during that weekend visit to Thiru. So when this old guy is coming and saying, don't leave me, don't leave me. You don't even have to say it's half in jest, of course. You don't even have to say hit the road, Jack, or don't have to resist the mind in any way. You just allow it to move on along. Is there a song like that? It should be. Move on along. Maybe when I was younger, when I came to Delhi, I lived in Delhi for a few years. What happened is that that was the era of the VHS tape. So then we would have this salesman coming, and he would come with his bag of VHS tapes, and we would then take them from him, buy them from him. Now, if this VHS tape seller came to you, would you buy? How many of you would buy that VHS? Maybe because of some antique value. Otherwise, you would not buy, isn't it? Why? Because you moved on forward. You've outgrown all this. So when this salesman of the mind comes and tries to sell you the same old story about the individual you, just let it move on along. The only time this so-called spiritual journey is uncomfortable is when you're listening to the Satsang voice, this intuitive, your own intuitive presence, and you're listening to this mental voice. Because together it can sound like a lot of confusion. So this having the mind as a master and having the master as a master, this doesn't work. One has to make way for the other. And actually, my blessing to all of you, of course, is that the true master of your intuitive presence sits on the throne of your heart. And the mind can remain, but as a stand-up comedian, maybe, but not as a master. The mind is not your master. And you see that as you start to carry this feeling in your heart, you just remain with the master. You will see that which seemed like such a big tormentor, such a powerful force, this mind, start to lose so much of its power. Then you start to see that no matter what the mind is saying, it has no real authority over you. And all sensations, all perceptions can move around in their own way. Just like the space in this room doesn't mind what comes in and what goes out. How could that which is the space in which this space arises mind? You have to say that the ones who designed language also were genius. With the word mind, how could they mind? It's just so precise. It is just mind. To mind is just mind. See what I'm saying? You mind something. You can only mind this. You can't mind it without the mind.
Signal those who matter don't mind don't matter or whatever.
It's so direct. It's such a direct point. So don't mind. It's more direct than we realize. It's Satsang. Ashtavakra said it and said in a different way. He said, the mind is complex. Let it go. He didn't say, sometimes let it go. Mostly let it go. On these occasions, let it go. Because that would also be mind. Just said the mind is complex. Let it go. To use the old example from the great Indian sage Kabir, he said, the fish is thirsting for water. I can't help it but laugh. This clarifies a lot of things. The fish recognizes that it is just swimming in the water. It is just water everywhere. Actually, it recognizes that there is no fish. It is just water. But suppose for a minute that it recognizes that I've been thirsting for water, but there is water everywhere. So when I say that your life doesn't have to change, you don't have to get some new type of water, some new type of perception, sensations, relationships, money, doesn't have to come. Doesn't take away from the beauty of the recognition. So that life will continue to be this way is not bad news, because life has already been beautiful. We have been misunderstanding it. We have attached ourselves to that which is impermanent. What do you think the result of that will be? If you tie yourself to a bus which is moving, will you have a fun time? Doesn't sound like it. If you feel like this galloping horse will be my steady support in life, and you tie yourself to the foot of a horse, what's going to be? We have attached ourselves to that which is constantly moving. And then we say, why can't I find some steadiness in my life? So attach yourself to that which is the unmoving, the unchanging. Then you will see that you are that itself. But if you feel like you have to attach yourself to something, attach to that which doesn't change. If you're just attached to this self, tell me how you can suffer. What more would you want in life? Then all things can just come and go, neither having to be attached nor averse. Nowhere am I saying that you must pick up an aversion to anything which is okay. Just see it for what it is, another appearance coming and going, and allow it to function in its own natural way. You don't lose anything if you give up all your notions. And you do lose something. You lose your suffering, you lose all this pride and resentment, arrogance, guilt, fear about time, future, regret about the past. And the trouble is that we don't even go 100% with that. You see, if we had to fear about the future, what is ultimately going to happen to that which we consider ourselves to be? We will be in a hospital or some sort of deathbed, That is going to be most likely the final experience. So then what is the point of all of this agonizing about what life will bring and not bring? Because ultimately this body is going to go. So even phenomenally, if you were to consider ourselves an object, we don't take these concepts fully. We say, okay, this past, why did this happen? Okay, go further back. Why did this happen? Go further back. Go back to before your childhood. Go back to before you were born, before you were conceived. If you want to agonize about the past, go really, really back. If you want to agonize about the future, go really forward in the future. You'll see that it is pointless. Then you will see that the only stability is your own self. Have you seen in America there is something called the rodeo. So pretending that we are attached to this crazy horse or crazy bull, sometimes they ride the bull also. And this is going to settle down, and this is going to become all right one day, and it will not be a bumpy ride. When we consider ourselves to be an object, when we consider the world to be our reality, this is what happens to us. Up and down and up and down. Sometimes, for a few moments, a sense of stability, then back again, up and down. So asking why does this happen to me is like saying why does this horse jump up and down? It has no meaning to ask this question. The true question is who is it that I am? Then you'll see that the horse and the rider are just appearances. But you remain the untouched. And the good news is that this is true right now. You don't need any process of steps. If there was a process of steps like this, don't you feel that in the thousands and thousands of years that humanity has been in existence, it would have been codified and available now that this is the only way? See, it is not that. All the ways which are available ultimately are pointing you to this simple truth. Let me tell you a little bit about the Indian tradition. In India, what used to happen is that if you wanted the truth, you would go to a master. A master would typically have his ashram. So it is not like today where you just come to the ashram and satsang is just available. Ashram. The master will say, okay, you've come here, but first you have to do some seva. Not like this that I'm going to take a little bit of seva. You do seva for 10 years. Then I will talk to you about this. Till then, I will just ask you about whether you clean the ashram properly, whether you manage the shrubs, whether you've done all this gardening, whether you've done everything. Nothing about any of this. Then, next 10 years. So, 10 years you spent in your just physical seva. Then, next 10 years, study all the Shastras, study the Upanishads, study the Bhagavad Gita, study the Brahma Sutras, the Vedanta, that which we call Vedanta. Many of us don't realize that Vedanta actually is this: the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutras. The master says, study all of this for 10 years. And by the way, in those first 10 years, you better have got rid of your lust, your greed, your, your desires, your aversions, all of your impulses. You better have complete control over your senses, your mind. These are the qualifications which allow you to even dip into the Upanishads, the Shastras, the Vedanta. And if you haven't done it in the first 10 years, then it will take longer. So they say it's worthwhile, an entire lifetime is fine. Then you studied all these Shastras for another 10 years, 20 years have passed, and you feel like you have some understanding of what is being said in all these beautiful scriptures. Then, based on how much has been assimilated really, the master will call you in and say, I'll tell you today the ultimate truth. And if you're really open, if you've really assimilated something in the last 20 years of your dedication to this path, you will understand what I'm going to say. Then he would share something which are called the Mahavakyas. This is what? Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. I am the absolute self. Now, a disciple usually has two reactions to this. He's really become open. He or she has really become open in the last 20 years. And then they hear, I am the self. Here. Or, that's it. For 20 years, I've been here. And all you have to tell me is this one line with 3 words. So which one are you now? For whatever reason, times have changed. And you are here now. I don't know how many lifetimes of Seva actually you've done already. Now the Master is telling you that you are the self. Which disciple are you? Are you still hearing these words conceptually? that. That you are. That Twamasi. You are that. Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Muji Baba ki
Jai.
सद्गुरु श्री अनंता जी की
Jai.